If you are going abroad in 2025, then one of the best things you can do to save money is to get a specialist debit or credit card that is fee free when you spend and when you take money out of an ATM. There are more and more of these now. There's a good chance if you've got a handful of different current accounts that you already covered. But if you have got one that does charge, that really can add up over the course of a couple of weeks away. So I'm going to start off talking about the best debit cards to use overseas. Now, one of the big benefits of a debit card, obviously, is that it is not a credit card. We will come back to credit cards, and there are benefits for having a credit card. But a lot of people, they like the idea of having a debit card either attached to their main current account, or you can just open up one of these separately and transfer money across and treat it as if it was a kind of old school prepaid card. It's only there for your travel spending. Spend on it and no one will have, if you did lose your card or someone had access to it for any reason, they can only spend what you've put there, not all the money you might have in there as you might do with a normal current account. Now, things have changed since last year. My number one pick last year was the Chase Bank debit card. In fact, that was my number one pick for a good number of years, because not only was it fee-free for spending and cash withdrawals, and that is still the case, but you also were able to earn 1% cash back on your spending abroad. That is no longer the case. You will not earn any cash back using Chase overseas. So while it is not a bad card to use, it is still fee-free. It's not the best one. And I'll lead off which one I think is the better replacement for you, because not only is it fee-free, you will get cash back. There are, however, a few caveats. It is not perfect, and it won't be the only card you can take abroad. You will need to take something else. But I think that's a good idea anyway. I think it's generally good practice to have a couple of cards with you, just in case one, I've had it in the past, my wallet got nicked, so I had another card back at the hotel that I could use in its place. Or likewise, if one of them isn't accepted for whatever reason, then you've got another card that you're able to use. Anyway, this first card I want to tell you about, the top pick for debit cards, is from Trading 212. Now, that is not a current account, right? So it's not connected to a bank. It is instead connected to an investment account. And some of you might be thinking, well, I don't want to get an investment account, particularly want to be spending from an investment account. You don't need to worry about it, because you don't have to invest with this Trading 212 account for this card. You can just open it up and you can transfer money into it in the same way I just explained if you wanted to get a separate current account for this purpose. So you can just open it up, put your money in there, and then that is what you spend when you spend with your debit card. The card itself is great for fee-free spending, okay? It won't charge you anything at all. You will have to pay £4.95 to get the actual physical card. So I just said it's one of the reasons it's not perfect. But if you just add it to your phone, your Apple Wallet, your Google Wallet, and then you can tap away, and there's no problem with that at all. And since most spending nowadays, you're probably going to be doing it that way anyway, right? So you don't have to pay for the physical card. You can get that, and you'll earn 0.5% cash back on your spending. So not as good as Chase, but that's still not bad, right? 0.5% is still pretty decent. Now, there is a cap on this in terms of how much cash back you can earn in a month. That's 20 quid. But 0.5% over a month would mean you have to spend a huge amount of cash, £4,000 every single month, to get to that £20. So for most of us, I think it's going to be absolutely fine. You're not going to go past that capital, and you'll be generating some money as you go along, as well as saving money by not having any fees at all. The drawback isn't just, though, about that physical card, because if you do get a physical card, then you probably won't be able to use it in an ATM. So although it is fee-free for cash withdrawals as well, it's only contactless cash withdrawals. Now, I've hardly seen any of them in the UK, let alone overseas. So I imagine you definitely shouldn't be going abroad if that's your only card that you're going to be using overseas. But don't worry, we'll cover some other options later on if you do need to take money out. So this is pretty much just about spending with your phone while you're abroad, fee-free, and earning some cash back. And it's certainly the one when I go away this year that I'm going to be giving a go and using that one for the bulk of my spending. Very quickly on this one as well, just worth knowing about this. I've shared this a few times before. When you are new to Trading 212, you can sign up via a link. We have it over at becleverwithyourcash.com, a link where you can sign up to Trading 212 and get a free share. You've probably heard a lot of people talking about this as well, between £10 and £100. So if you can get that, you can keep it invested if you wanted, or you can cash it out again. There are a few terms and conditions with that, but if you're going to sign up for the card anyway, you may as well get this. The other little perk worth noting as well is that money, while it's sitting there in the investing account for you to spend from your card, you can turn on a decent interest rate of currently 4.6% on that uninvested cash. Although there is a caveat there as well. I'd say there were a few caveats with this one. If you do that, if you activate the interest on the account, then the money held there won't necessarily be protected by the Financial Services Compensation Scheme. Now, again, if you're only using this for holiday spending, not having huge amounts in there, that's nothing to worry about. If you do want to have more in there, then it's low risk. It might be protected, it might not. Depends if they're holding it with a bank or in something called a money market fund. But it's very, very low risk. You'll probably be fine, but you might want to have that at the back of your mind. So as I said, that is my top pick for debit cards, but there are many, many, many more, so many more now that you could look at, which are fee free. Okay, so you are going to be absolutely fine. You just won't earn any cash back from them. The top of the table here are a couple which are definitely worth looking at if you're going to specific countries. The first one is our old friend Chase. So if you are going to America, then you can use your Chase debit card for fee-free withdrawals at a Chase ATM. So that is a really good one, could be a good money saver, because we all know many ATMs when you're abroad, they will charge a fee on top. The other one is really similar. It's with Santander cash machines. If you have any Santander debit card and you use it in any Santander cash machine across the world, so I did this recently when I was in Mexico, but I'm sure lots of Spain. In fact, there are many other places with Santanders. Again, there is no charge for using an ATM. However, only one Santander card will be fee-free for your spending. That is the Santander Edge debit card. Now, I've spoken about that a number of times because I think that current account is a good all-rounder to get. You get 1% back on your bills via direct debit. You get access to a 6% paying savings account. So there are lots of reasons to get this. And this is like an extra one, that fee-free spending abroad. Just watch out, there is a £3 fee every single month. So this is really only if you're going to cover that fee and take advantage of that cash back and that savings accounts on top of that. Otherwise, it really isn't worth it. And then very quickly, let me tell you about some of the other banks that will give you fee-free spending overseas. First Direct, Crew, Lloyds have just introduced this for their Club Lloyds account. Monzo, Starling, Virgin Money, all those accounts are ones which are worth looking at. If you've already got them, then you're great. It's great as a backup or one for your everyday spending. All of them will also give you some fee-free withdrawals as well. A couple may well introduce a cap on how much you get fee-free. The one really to highlight here is Monzo. You can take £400 out every 30 days in Europe or £200 everywhere else, unless Monzo is your main bank, which basically means if you send a certain amount of money coming into it, direct debits coming out of it, or have one of their paid tiers, then you actually don't get those limits at all on cash withdrawals. But if you have it just for holiday spending and use it occasionally, just know that there will be some caps on taking money out. But again, your normal spending, you're absolutely fine. Now, there are more details about all of those and all the cards I'm talking about today over on becleverwithyourcash.com. So we will link to that and you can go through and read in more detail if you want to check the pros and cons of each of those. So let's talk now about credit cards. Now, I said, yes, you might prefer to have a debit card for a number of very, very good reasons. You might not be sure about using credit cards. But I actually think when you go abroad, it's almost vital to have a credit card. And if you're having a credit card when you're abroad, it's vital to have one that's fee-free as well. So ideal world, a debit card and a credit card. And I'd probably throw in another one as a backup as well, just for your spending if you need to. Now, the reason why I think it's important to take a credit card overseas will be if you ever need to make some kind of holding reservation on your card. Now, this is particularly going to be the case if you ever hire a car, right? And quite often you go on holiday, you're going to hire a car, right? But often you might find this hotels want to ring fence a certain amount of money, of your money, just for incidentals. You go use the minibar, you go a bit crazy and cause damage, whatever it might be. And there might be other activities when you're abroad which do the same thing. So you'll get that money back. But if you did that with a debit card, that money would be taken straight away. So that means you wouldn't be able to spend the cash in there. Whereas if you do that with a credit card, it just comes off your credit limit. So you're still going to have your other money to spend on your debit card. You maybe even on the credit card, you've got a greater credit limit to spend on. And by the time you check out of the hotel or return the car, it can take a few days sometimes for that money to be released on the credit card. But it's probably well before you're actually going to end up paying that bill. So you're never going to end up paying it. It's just a great option there. Plus, of course, there is extra consumer protections like Section 75, which you get with having a credit card if something costs more than £100. So again, reasons to have them. Now, my top one here hasn't changed since last year. This is the Barclaycard Rewards credit card. This one is fee-free for your spending, uses the Visa rate, and it is fee-free for cash withdrawals as well, which is unusual for a credit card. Most credit cards should not be used for taking money out when you are abroad, or at home either for that matter. But this one you can use for cash if you want to. So again, it's a nice kind of all-rounder there in addition to one of those debit cards. But the big benefit here is you will earn some cash back on your spending. This is why it's better than some of the others. You get 0.25% back on your spending at home and abroad. So yes, it's not an amazing rate, but it will add up if you are using it on holiday. And in fact, if you sign up for this card, if you're eligible for it, remember to do that soft eligibility search first of all before you fully apply to check your chance of getting it. If you do that before the end of April 2025, you'll actually get double cash back until the end of September 2025. So you get 0.5%, which is on a par, obviously, with that trading 2121. So in fact, if you can get this in the next few weeks, then this is going to be the top card to use until the end of September this year, probably over the trading 2121. Also, there's no charges at all with this. You get the card sent through to you, you can add it to your wallet, no problems at all. The downside here potentially would be, at the moment, the rules are pretty strict that you can only have one Barclaycard. So if you want to already have another one of theirs, such as the Avios credit cards or the Amazon credit cards, then you won't be able to get this. Or likewise, if you go for this, it will rule you out of one of those. So again, you might want to weigh up whether this is the right Barclaycard for you. Now, there are other fee-free credit cards that will earn some cash back. The main one here to know about is the Virgin Money Everyday Cashback Credit Card. This one is not for cash withdrawals, okay? So do not withdraw cash on it. This one will get you the same 0.25%, capped at £15 a month. So for most people, that is going to be a decent option instead of potentially an alternative to that Barclaycard Rewards card. Santander also have a credit card. This is the Edge credit card, different to the Edge current account and debit card that I mentioned before. Now, this one, in the first year, will give you 2% back on your spending at home and abroad. And then after that, it will give you 1%. So you think, well, Andy, why are you not leading with this? Why is this not the first one you're telling me about? Well, that's because you are capped in how much cash back you can earn from this each month. So actually, it's a relatively small amount of money. In fact, only £750 worth of spending in that first year. Each month in that first year will earn you money. Plus, there is a £3 monthly fee, which will eat into it. So in the first year, you definitely, at home or abroad, that first year, you will make a profit if you only spend that 750 quid on that, even with that £3 fee. The second year, yes, you can earn on more spending, but you're still going to factor that in. So you're actually going to get less than 1%. But it's something to consider putting it in the mix if you want to, even if it's just for 1 year. Often a lot of you guys ask me about a NatWest travel credit card that's out there. This will give you 1% cash back, and it is fee-free to use. But that cash back's only on things like hotels, travel, planes and stuff like that, which, to be fair, you're more likely, I would imagine, you're going to book that when you're back in the UK, and you may as well get another credit card which can give you 1% back on all your spending, all that same spending and everything else, rather than having this just for that. So again, I'm telling you about it in case you really want it, but it's not one that I personally think is worth looking at. A lot of you guys also asked me about Yonder's credit cards. Again, there are different tiers here. The free one, you might want to look at it. Again, there is free spending on it overseas. You can take some money out on it as well from an ATM if you want to. But the points that you earn, you've got to make a decision if it's worth it for you. I'd rather have actual cash that I can use how I want rather than points which can be applied to certain different experiences or restaurants. So it might be one to look at, but personally, I don't think it's a better option than the others I've gone through so far. So that is debit cards and credit cards. A couple of other options I want to tell you about now. And I said about having a backup, and this could be the one that you go for if you don't want to be opening up even more cards, debit cards, current accounts, or credit cards. And this is basically a smart travel card. Now, there are a few of these out there, but the only one that I would probably be looking at is from Currensea. Now, Currensea has recently revamped its tiers. The free tier now, the essential tier, there are no charges on this other than £4.95 to get a card, which again, you might not feel is worth it, particularly if it is your backup card. But what it does, it will give you £500 of fee-free spending every month and £200 of free ATM spending every single month, which again, you can beat with so many other options I've told you about so far. But why this is an interesting backup is you actually connect it, once you've got it, to your existing current account. So you're actually spending a bit like, imagine it's like an Apple Wallet in a way. You're choosing which card you spend from. With this one, you connect to a bank account, and as you spend, it just takes money out of the underlying account, but you're never actually taking that card with you. There are a limited number of banks this works with. Barclays, Bank of Scotland, Coutts, First Direct, Halifax, HSBC, Lloyds, Nationwide, NatWest, RBS, Santander, TSB, Ulster Bank and Virgin Money. They are the only ones you can connect this to. But it's certainly worth having a look at that free option. There is also worth telling you about a welcome offer the first time you sign up. And that will go some way to covering that initial £4.95 card fee. This, if you go via a link over on becleverwithyourcash.com, you won't get this if you go direct. You will get a £10 bonus once you spend £150 in a foreign currency in the first 6 months. So obviously, wait to get this until, I don't know, a month before you go abroad, and ensure that you do spend at least 150 quid on it to get that £10 back. Very quickly as well, at the end, I want to talk about multi-currency cards, because everything I've told you about so far is given that live exchange rate. So when you go, you spend your money, make sure you spend it in the local currency as well. Remember, don't do it in pounds, because if you do, they'll be converting for you at their rate, and then you're not going to get the good rates. Pay it in the local currency, and then whatever the rate is at that time, or potentially the day after, there's a bit of sort of wiggle room there. That is what it will be. And that might be fine, but it does make it a lot harder to budget. And it might be, if you know, look, I can only afford to spend, I don't know, X amount on my holiday. You can, so a couple of cards will let you convert that now. You convert it over to that currency, euros, dollars, whatever it is, lira, yen, whatever you want to do, okay? You convert it over now. And that means you are spending, you know exactly what you're spending, which is, it can be a really, really useful thing to do. Now, some people might also like to try and game it a little bit and play the currency markets and think they can see when something's at the bottom before it goes down, and lock in a rate when it's really low, which means when they go abroad, they might be saving a huge amount versus the actual live rates at the time. Very hard to do that. I don't think many people are going to be able to do that with any kind of sense of accuracy. Really, more it's down to luck. But again, you could go down that route if you want. Now, so these ones, what you'll do is they'll convert over. They will often charge you a little bit on top of that, but often that isn't actually going to be very different to if you use the Visa or MasterCard rates, which most of the cards I've spoken about and us now will change. They often use something called the interbank rate. So that interbank rate is often lower than Visa and MasterCard. So if you do get a little bit of extra on top of that, it's still going to be quite comparable. Okay, so I think this is still a decent option for you. And then when you spend in that foreign currency, you won't be charged anything for it. So I think they absolutely are comparable. It's really about, do you want to know with certainty what the exchange rate was, or are you willing to try and see what it is on the day when you're abroad? Now, there are 3 of them to tell you about here. First one is Revolut with their standard account. There obviously are many paid tiers with Revolut, which will charge you more for them and give you more features, but I'm just talking about the free one here. That will charge the interbank rate Monday to Friday, but at the weekends you get a 1% extra on top of that. So it's not one to be using at weekends, which obviously, well, at least when you do the conversion at weekends. There are also some limits there on cash withdrawals, £200 limit for every sort of rolling month, and a maximum of 5 withdrawals in total. But again, if you're not taking much cash out, that's fine. Again, this has a card charge of £4.99. Trading 2 and 2, which we mentioned before, right at the top. Again, what I told you about, that's about if you spend the money on there is in pounds, but you can again change the currencies if you want to, and then pay from those instead. That one is the interbank rate plus 0.15%, which again, that's going to be very, very similar to what you'd be getting with the Visa or MasterCard ones. Again, there are, as we said before, restrictions there in terms of cash withdrawals. It works exactly the same thing, the same charges. But again, you could, if you want to, do that in advance. And the other one is Wise. That one is the interbank rate plus a minimum of 0.33%. It does vary by currency, so it can be more expensive than Trading 212. And again, there are some restrictions there. There's also a charge there of £7 to get the card, a physical card, which can be quite expensive. But again, if that's the route you want to go down, they are worth a look. Now, again, as I've said before, I have covered all of these in more detail over on becleverwithyourcash.com, including information about some of those welcome offers I mentioned. So make sure you do head over there to get all that extra info. My name's Andy Webb. Thank you so much for watching. Check out these videos here for more ways to make the most of your money.